Health is physical wealth.
Hello, hello, hello. Today is Fun Day Monday yet again. It is March 18th, 2024. I try to do this every Monday at 5 p.m. CST. No, what is it? Is it 4 p.m. CST? 5 p.m. CST? What time is it? Oh my God, the time. Oh, that reminds me. We woke up this morning and forgot that the clocks went back an hour. Imagine that. So I do this at 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. CST. And if you thinking it's 4 o'clock, your clock might be a little off if you anywhere else. But I was like, oh my God, the time is flying. We went through like daylight saving time already. Like, goodness, slow down, slow down. I'm trying not to let this whole mic situation bother me. My mom was like, she can't hear. So I had to bring the mic a little closer. And now it's like really more, obvious that I'm on this camera and I don't do cameras. I rarely ever take selfies or pictures or anything. So it's just bothering me. So yeah, I was like, oh my God, it is crazy how we have this situation where the time went back and it's like, what time is it? Yeah, what time is it indeed? Okay. Hey, Tony, how you doing? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Tell the missus I said, hey. Tell her, say, hey, check what's up. Okay, so today, after that icebreaker of the time, you see how I segued the whole time thing going? Did you like that? I'm just saying, I'm new to this. I'm trying it. Just like I'm trying the whole natural hair look, and it's like this hair gonna do what it want to do when it want to do it, and it don't care what I think or how I comb it. It's just gonna do whatever it want to do, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna throw a hair wrap on it. I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm not gonna stress over it anymore. Uh, I normally throw a baseball cap on or a hat of some sort and call it one. It's a lot of women out there know what I mean. We ain't trying to sit there be playing and stressing over our hair forever. We're just gonna put a hat on it. Oh, she said, hey. Hey, Jackie, miss you. I appreciate you being here. Now, I want to get into the topic for today is Women's Month. And if you've been watching the Women's Month episodes, then you know a little bit more about what I'm a little bit more passionate about. So I'm a little bit more relaxed about talking about it. But today, she going to read them notes. So, I want to make sure I hit the points. A lot of times I'm not hitting the point. You would think that the time that I'm on is like a lot of time or enough time to hit all the topics and all the points, but it's not. It's really not. But anyway, over the years that I've been broadcasting, I've noticed during Women's History Month, a lot of young ladies, not just young, but all ages, it's like they don't know who to exemplify. Who to use for an example, who to say this is someone that I look up to. These are qualities that I look up to. So let me just suggest this one thing. Take a little bit from every pile, even from the people that you don't really like, but it's something about them that you could benefit from, just knowing that they experienced it or they did it and how it looked and it didn't look good on them. For example, if you have 4C hair, and it's really, really like crazy stubborn. And you like, yeah, let me try something new. Let me try to go natural and see how that do. And you looking at somebody online and you say, ooh, not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Well, consider a hair wrap because that's what I did. I was like, man, it's a lot of people going natural. Let me try it again. I don't know, because it's overwhelming to keep having to, keep up with the schedule and still have a life and juggle all the things you got to juggle. So I went back to what I did before I hit 8th grade. At 8th grade was when I started to put chemicals in my hair. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and try it because all my girlfriends were saying try it. And everybody was like, oh, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. Your hair looks, like a 4C head. So why don't you do something different and try to, fit in a little better? So I did. It went all right, but it's still 4C hair. It's still stubborn, even with the Jerry curl, the wave nouveau, and the perm. it was just doing whatever it wanted to do. So it's like, what is the point? Let me just go back to what it was and let it do what it want to do, and just throw a hair wrap on it, because I learned that's what African American women did in Africa. They would just comb it and put a hair wrap on it. And we don't know that as American women. We don't know what people did, other women did for circumstances throughout their life. It's not new. It's nothing new under the sun. It's just new to me. And when I started to like work with it or whatever, I ran into somebody said, well, people only put them hair wraps on because they don't comb their hair. I'm like, well, I can't do that one because I refuse to be defeated. I'm going to comb my hair. But anyway, so and seeing how I was talking about women's history and seeing as how I'm not the only woman that's like, man, what do we do? Where do we get all this information from in order to build the woman that I am? How do we figure these things out? Well, I found continuing to go back in history and seeing emphasis on that, just placing the emphasis on just the women. It was a lot of research that was dug into regarding how women were reported doing anything. Women weren't really reported. They weren't really recorded doing things. And I'm like, man, that's really odd. So a lot of the research that I conducted and concluded where to get the information from derived from religious studies, because those were the only things that were untampered with due to political era, politics, and how the times change. It was sacred because nobody else could like go into it. So you really got to dig deep. And those deep dives can be rather expensive because nowadays people are altering books, they're burning books, they're altering articles, even though they're peer reviewed and not supposed to be altered like that. What it is when it was first published. But when you go around and you make alterations to the facts or the information within the articles and books, that's where I have the problem. So facts are stubborn things. And those stubborn things are what I'm talking about in the Women's Month episodes. So go back and watch those episodes and see if you can, put some pieces together and build the character and the woman that you want to be, or even just understand the woman that you are. You don't have to, join anybody. Look at the last episode what I did about Mary and Elizabeth. Try that on for size. But anyway, some people say unorthodox or orthodoxy, is advanced beyond, let's move beyond that, because it's like, oh, you got to be orthodox. You got to be in this set system. Let's move beyond that. Let's advance beyond the hindrances and beyond the normatives that divide. Let's look at how, let's look at Mary's story with Jesus. Mary, the mother Mary, or some people call it Jesus mama, baby Jesus mama. A lot of people say a lot of different things, but the story in that, I want to emphasize how the mother was the help meet. Mary was a help meet. She helped. Okay, originally, woman helped Adam. So as Eve, God saw, he looked at Adam and was like, oh, dude, you need some help. This is not what I had in mind. So he sent Eve. He was like, he thought about it first. He was like, what can I do? I know, I'll create you a helpmeet. And how will I do that? I'm not saying Adam was stupid, but I'm saying he took a whole rib and told him, look, this is bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh. This is from your side. So remember, this is your help meet. This is the purpose in which I ordained this. This is why I created this. I see where you want some help and need some help and where you would like things to be better. This is what I have made just for that. And you'll spend generations trying to figure this one out. So guys, don't be worried about if you got a woman and you can't figure it out yet. Scientists still haven't figured out the human brain, but women manipulate that human brain like it's her lethal weapon or something, a secret weapon or something. She doing some things with it, and that's across the board. It's not specific to any culture. It's all women. I've seen some really crafty women in all generations. So, and that's coming from looking at the various women throughout history, like Eve and Elizabeth, Mary's cousin, who was barren before Mary even came around. Now, even though the woman's title changes, or more things come out of her title, let's say it that way. It doesn't change. It's because help me covers a whole wide spectrum of different things. That's why women wear so many hats. That's why good women are considered good women, because they can maneuver all of them hats more, smoothly than some women who are more obvious about switching on. Okay, well, I'm a chauffeur today. Okay, well, I'm not gonna be your female dog today, but I will be that chick that put my hands on you when you step out of line, and I'm gonna call it tough love. So it's like we are we're all doing the same thing. It's just differently. Some people can do it more smoothly, whereas some people are like, they're going to announce it. They're going to broadcast it. It's a whole PSA letting you know what's going to happen today. Hey, Eddie, I appreciate you being here. What'd you say? I just okay. Comment though. Everybody can comment. It's all about the show is all about conducting facts, presenting facts in a diverse perspective for mental health, and helping you to see that mental health is physical wealth, so you can invest in your mental health. But it's important for us as women to see that all these different hats that we wear, all these different things that we do, it's not new. And it's like the last episode where I showed you how Elizabeth was happy to see Mary. Mary was happy to see Elizabeth because she had this understanding with God that she's going to go and bear a child, and she's never even had sex with a man before. And she like, do you know what these people will do to me? My own people will do to me if I pop up pregnant and I'm not even married. Joseph and I haven't even really even done anything. We haven't even really met, meaning, do anything. We haven't had conversation. We ain't even been in the same vicinity. Why he play video games and I'm just sitting there. We haven't even done that yet. So she was like, I got to do something that helps me be the helpmeet that I'm supposed to be. And that's why Mary went over to Elizabeth. She went to Elizabeth because Elizabeth already had the miracle of God growing in her, where she was barren, and now she's sitting there pregnant, and everybody's like, oh, Zechariah, whatever his name is, he over there, he finally got you pregnant. Now finally popped up pregnant. Hey, Sean Anthony, thank you for coming. Stay tuned. Help me out now. And these preachers on here and evangelists and first ladies, y'all help me out if I slip up and go wrong. But Mary had such a situation on her where she had to be the helpmeet, and she was like, man, this is going against every law of the land. This is going against everything I believe in, everything I was born and raised to do. I'm about to have a baby, and I have never been married. So she was like, I know, I'll go over to Elizabeth, my cousin Elizabeth. Elizabeth was barren. I know God had to have had hand in that. So all of Elizabeth's friends around her talking about how Zachary or whatever his name is and got her pregnant. Y'all finally gonna have all these kids and whatnot. You know how girls do. Oh, it's so wonderful. You're finally pregnant. But a few minutes before that, they was talking about how your butt was barren and can't do nothing. And it must be a sin against God that you committed that makes you so barren. Anyway, so her faith and Zach's faith continued to grow in God. And Liz was like, you know what? I see y'all phony and I can't even deal with y'all like that. I'm bringing the past to more like the present vernacular and dialect so you can understand what happened, so you can associate the past with your present. She was like, I can't even deal with these phony people, but this is all I have in my that environment. This is all that's in my atmosphere. But it was weighing on her, and it was weighing on her baby. And she could feel that. And the baby could feel that. And the baby wasn't responding until Jesus and Mary came into the room. And then the baby leapt into her womb, and Mary felt better about what was going on because now she migrated into an environment that's supportive of her position as a helpmeet. We are oftentimes as women finding ourselves in situations that's not supporting our ability to be a helpmeet in the proper way that we are feeling innate in us. We're feeling in our bones. We're feeling it in our soul and down all the way to our toes. And we can't rest because we like, man, I'm trying to follow the rules. I'm trying to be orthodox, but everybody's telling me I'm so unorthodox, but I can't do anything about it. It's what's happening to me. I'm not doing anything to have it happen. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. And all of these other things are just happening. Like Elizabeth, she didn't tell those people to tell, amp up Zach's head. Like, oh, Zach, finally a real husband now. You done knocked up your wife. Finally, it's about time. Yeah, I'm not saying, that. I'm saying we have seen it and it continues to be because there's nothing new under the sun. So we have some, even though it's not written in the Bible, we have some understanding of how things go, especially in different eras, where in different circles, when you have different cliques and your girlfriends and your guy friends be talking and they saying all kind of crazy things. But you see Elizabeth was around Mary, who strengthened her faith to say, no, we know for a fact this is nothing but God, and I cannot let you taint that. So Mary was around Elizabeth, and Elizabeth drew strength from that because they both have a different experience with God as a helpmeet. It's not just external from the outside perspective like men have had it. It's from an internal and external experience in only a way that Eve could experience it, and then Mary experienced it. I'm sure there were some women in between there, but I'm not a theologian. I'm a psychologist, so I'm not that deep in it. I'm just saying, go to church, listen to your pastor, ask the first lady, ask them. It's Women's Month. They'll probably have far more detailed information about it than I do. But what I'm saying is, on the surface, this is what we've seen throughout different cultures that remains effect globally. It is not specific to a particular faith. You can go out there and research it on your own as well. Just read the Quran, read the Torah, read the Bible, read all these books of faith. It's a bunch of material out there that you can read and pray and figure it out and piece it together for yourself. You don't have to stick to in the box. Look at that episode I named In the Box, Out the Box, In the Box, Pablo Picasso, Hindsight. Let's call the whole thing Hindsight. Look at that episode where I explain that. But anyway, we see the helpmeet dynamics change over time because we're emphasizing, or I should say, our leaders, who are mostly male, are emphasizing different aspects that they like and that they can understand and comprehend in the way that they can comprehend it. But I'm telling you from a perspective of a woman who had to carry a child and understands it a little bit better because the way Mary and Elizabeth experienced it, where Elizabeth was like, look, this is God, and all these people trying to say, name this baby, after the daddy, and you ain't right because you ain't naming that baby after the daddy. That's your husband. It's his firstborn. And it's a boy. You got to name it after him. She said, no, this is all God. I know it's all God. I have to name him John. As soon as she said his name, that baby spoke Like whatever language they speak, Hebrew, Latin, whatever it was that they speak, they understood. That baby said, start, thank you, Jesus, thank you, God, praise God, and start worshiping God straight out the womb. Come on now. That doesn't even happen. That should be emphasized far more than anything has ever been in history before Jesus was ever conceived. Well, born anyway, because that was such a miracle that it was like, where did that miracle come from? That miracle came from a woman. It originated from a helpmeet, and that helpmeet did her job. And as a result, as a direct result, and only because she did her job and acknowledged God for what God had done for her, he opened his mouth and spoke. We have not seen that happen ever again in history, in any recorded history beyond John ever being the first. There's never been one after him. And then Mary was able to see that this is definitely, reaffirming that this is God. And I have something that's even greater than that, because I have never had sex. I'm not even married. So this baby that's getting ready to come out ain't going to be named Joseph. Okay. But it was necessary to be done because everybody looked at it like, oh, Elizabeth married. That ain't no God. That ain't no God. That's just Zach. He finally shot one out. Go Zach, go Zach. Hey. And everybody throwing a party for him. But he even knew it was God. And people can tell you all day long, trust me, it was God. Trust me, it was God. I can't lie on God. It was God. Trust me, it was God. They could tell you all day, but God has a way of showing people, yeah, I told that person to do this. They did due diligence. Now I'm going to show you in a way that you cannot deny. You won't have not a shadow or a doubt that this was definitely God. So Mary, the Jesus mother, everybody knew she wasn't with no man. They could not track anywhere where she was ever alone, let alone with a man, to ever have had an experience with the Holy Trinity, with God, an angel, with Joseph, or any other man. She was never, ever around any man. That's why it's so controversial, or the work that she had did. It's also so controversial because it seems like, man is the leader and he's supposed to be leading, but you have to have a good side piece, not a side chick, but the rib, the helpmeet. She has to be just as awesome as you are. So with you saying, oh, well, man is so awesome and so great. Yeah, but look at woman, and woman compliments man because she is the helpmeet. She is the rib. She is the bone of your bone and the flesh of your flesh. She is one. She came out of man and said, look, this is what you need to amplify. And I put it into flesh and bone for you, and a whole different person for you, so y'all can come together as one in a more physical way, so you can understand a little better and do a little better. It wasn't so man could say, oh, dismiss her, she on the side and behind me, up under me, or wherever else he want to stick a woman. She has a very uniquely special gift and role, an assignment, task, purpose, whatever way you want to call it. She has a reason for being who she is. Now, the dynamics don't necessarily change over time, more so than it evolves to where more aspects of what it means to be a helpmeet really starts to just come out and starts to flow and starts to manifest. Why? Because times change and the needs of the times change. So women have always had the innate ability to change with the times a little bit more fluently, because that's what she was made for. She was created last, and God was like, I outdid myself. Let me stop. Y'all ain't ready. So that's what happened. It was like, you can't be mad because, oh, Oh, God made her last. Oh, she must not be significant. But still, you can't figure out the womb. You can't figure out her brain. You can't figure out her behavior. I know, because that phenomena of the human mind and behavior drew me to psychology. And that's why I'm a psychologist, because I'm like, man, that's fascinating. You can't figure it out. And I don't care what woman you run into, you still can't figure it out, because it's always going to be some information she does not divulge with you. She will not share with you. You think men are secretive because they don't want to be vulnerable? Oh my God, run into a good woman. She got some stuff for you. She got some information for you. You'll still be trying to figure out 100 years later. I didn't know you knew that. I thought I knew you. Who are you? Who raised you? I know, right? Women be doing some things, but can't tell it all. There's no time. It's written in the Bible. Can't tell the half. The half has never been told. So, what I'm saying is, Adam said, this is how I need your help. When he looked at Eve, he said, this is how I need your help. And humans have the capacity to understand complexities like assignment given by certain titles like mother, help me, ace in the hole. And even though, times change, and with slang and dialect and, different popular things that you may say, and now you rename the definitions of different words, same word, but different definition. It's still the matter of the fact that is probably why, just in my little bit of understanding, that's probably why God yanked out a whole rib out of Adam and said, look, this one you can't get wrong. You cannot get this one wrong. How can you get this one wrong when I took a whole rib and said, look, this is you. So I guess it is an internal experience for man, in that respect, but he so quickly disregarded that internal experience that we don't even emphasize that it was an internal and external experience, because he was asleep. He wasn't conscious. He wasn't aware. But women are very much aware of everything that's going on. Okay. She would like to not be aware when she pushing that baby out. I, for one, but anyway, we have to see, things in the way that only certain people who experience it can understand. I said, for example, that I can understand Mary and Elizabeth's story because I was military affiliated, and all these people around me were getting pregnant, but they were losing the babies. I was blessed to become pregnant because from where I understand it, we all bearing until God put a baby in us. We're all bearing until God speaks life. And when God does it, he doesn't do it with lacklusterness. It's all done in love. It's all done for a purpose. No matter what happens, it's all done for a purpose. And when I was blessed to be able to actually carry a viable baby full term and push the baby out, I was not able to be around in the atmosphere of everybody who was losing their babies and everybody who was mourning and all of that sort of thing. Just like, I don't know if Elizabeth felt that way, but in my perception of my experiences, I can understand how it can be like, it's pulling on you, it's weighing on you. And it's like, man, now you gotta do this and you gotta do that. And it's like, no, I gotta give God the praise for what he's done, because I'm aware of what he has done. He didn't do it in my sleep. He did it while I was conscious. He didn't have to wake me up and tell me about it. He told me about it while I was awake and alive and vibrant and active. And he's, just appearing right in front of me like, look, Tina, this what we gonna do. Now, I want to talk to you about having babies. I know you haven't had sex with nobody, or I know you and Zach been trying and you haven't had any, or I know all these military people around you are losing their baby, but you, Mary, you gonna have this baby. You, Elizabeth, you gonna have this baby. You, Tina, you gonna have this baby. And there's many other women out there who have had this experience. I'm not saying God came to me and told me that he gonna give me a baby or anything. I'm just saying that I can understand that when God bless you with something so significant, so special, you give God the praise for it and tell man a little later, because man doing the same thing. He know what it is. He like, man, God, I really appreciate it. Good looking out. Now I'm getting clout, now I'm getting, recognition for being a man, a manly man. And then if he busts out a baby and it's a girl or a boy and that's the one that they wanted, then they really happy. So they really give God the praise, because it was not only the matter that you had a baby, but you had exactly what you want. You had the gender that you wanted. You had the hair texture, the eye color. You had whatever it is that you wanted. You got to give God praise for that, because that just is not random. It is definitely not random. It's got to be God. And because scientists and other scholars and philosophers have yet to figure out exact details of how to do this and how it's done naturally. I'm not talking about the test tubes and all that sort of thing and messing with DNA and RNA. I'm talking about it naturally occurs all by itself. And we have no idea as scientists and scholars and academia. Nobody knows. Nobody can call it. Philosophers all the way back to 1 BC. Okay. I'm just saying, nobody can figure it out. So we have to understand when things is God and when things are of God, and to give God glory and praise for it, because we always asking him for something. Yes, God gives us physical signs. So it did evolve that, God doesn't really have experiences with humans the way he did back in those days, especially back in Eve and Adam's days. He's not doing that. He's saying, I ain't even walking the earth no more. Y'all done disappointed me so much. I ain't even walking down here. I'm going to send Jesus. And it's important that we understand that he sent Jesus, because people didn't believe that Elizabeth's baby was of God, God's miracle. And they was like, no, that's just no. And God said, I'm going to do something that's going to show you with beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're going to believe that God is real. Here's a sign. And he said, not only that, but I'm going to let my only child, and it's a son. And you know how much emphasis people put on a son, because that's a leader, is leading the nations. Jesus leading the world. Okay. And he leading by example. And he's like, look, he took on the sins, knowing I can't even look at my baby. I can't look at my baby, my only child, because he took on all these sins, and I can't even deal with it. That's why I walked away from the first place. I can't even deal with it. And now my baby done took all of this dirt and piled it on top of itself that I can't even see him. I don't even recognize my child. That is not my child, especially not my firstborn. Just so that we will have the opportunity to talk to God for ourselves. Now, don't get it twisted. I understand why some people go to priests or whomever it is the leadership is to talk to God or have a conversation with God. But God did this specifically so you will have a personal relationship with him. So you cannot say that anybody kept you away from God. God's like, no. I'm not going to let that happen. Oh, you don't have enough money to make an offering. You don't have what is it? The lamb to slay and not eat it because it's sitting there wasting away on the altar waiting for me to come back, and I'm not coming. It's just gonna waste away. So you have to understand that's the reason why God used Mary. God used Elizabeth first, and man was like, oh, loopholes. Then Mary came along and said, oh, no loopholes here. I know, right, sis? It's like we try to dismiss the woman's role, and in doing so, we're making it invalid the importance of her help meet title, her help meet purpose, her help meet goals. Those were the thoughts of God himself. So if he thought it, and nothing can return to him void, and then he spoke it out, That's why it couldn't return void, because that thought started to manifest itself in word and then in deed. And there you have the woman. And it's like, no, we can't turn back from that. God said, you ain't, you're not gonna deny this. This is real. Jesus like, no, I didn't come here and experience all this flesh, go through all the hate, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the emotional abuse, go through loving you despite all of that, knowing you're going to betray me. Now we know how we have friends, and then those friends betray us, and we looking that friend right in the face, and you don't put your hands on that person. You know that's God. He got more Jesus in us than everybody. Oh wait, he is Jesus. I'm just saying, we all need a little bit more Jesus, because he could have put his hands on Judas and said, I know you're going to betray me. Just, but he didn't do that. That ain't nothing but God, because you know that ain't flesh. But we have to understand that men and women have unique experiences, whereas we have, external experiences where Adam had more conscious external experience and women had more conscious experience as the whole person, not just as individual entities of, okay, I'm in church, I'm gonna do it like this. Okay, I'm in my husband's bedroom, I'm gonna do it like this. And then when I'm not in his bedroom, I can't be swinging on poles. We didn't get that message. We didn't get that universal message. That is the message, though, ladies. When you are out in public, if it's not for your husband, let's not swing on the poles. Let's not twerk. Let's not make it clap, even for TikTok. Okay? We can all do all that. But everybody don't have to see it. Just your man. That's all I'm saying. Back to the story. Sorry about that PSA, but yeah, it's a little disturbing that women are not having the examples that they need when it comes to all of these things that we have questions about. And if you grew up in church or a mosque or in a religious faith, and they kept a lot of information from you, because they didn't want you to have your nature to rise too soon. I know, right, Jackie? And because of that, you didn't know what you should do when you finally got married. So you might have turned to some outside sources like, some triple X films or something else, your girlfriends and your male friends who are not necessarily behaving in the spiritual way. And you might have experienced some things, but it is what it is. We see as women, and being a helpmeet, we see that, we have to find ways to get information, even though the information is not always forthcoming. We find a way. And dare I say what I did? I'm going to say it. I prayed about it. Yep. My girlfriend from elementary school, we reconnected, and she was like, man, she found, you pray about everything. You pray about everything. You probably pray about them fish too. I said, yep. I pray about sex too. Why? Because when we in church or a mosque or wherever we are in the spiritual way, they don't tell us what we need to know so that husband that we now have can be happy. So you got to pray about it. And I guarantee God will give it to you, because it's some amazing things. No matter how many temptations there are out there in the world, that boy keep coming back. Okay. Anyway, so it's not just about sex, but it's to say that you can include that in your prayers. Because if you think about it, Mary was like, God, I haven't even had sex with nobody. She already talking to God about sex. Okay, you not the first one. She was like, God, now I know you God all by yourself, but the whole thing about it is I have never had sex. How you talking to God about sex? You can't talk to God about sex. And I'm like, where you get that from? That ain't what I read. I read that Mary had a whole conversation with God about sex, and then God waited for her response. What? I was floored. And nobody told it to me like that. You got to read this by yourself. You got to read it on your own. You got to pray and come to your own understanding. I read that. I was like, wow, that's so profound. God respected woman who, you not nothing. You human. You flesh and bone. And you sinned even, the Garden of Eden, you got kicked out. And now he waited for you to accept and agree. That's crazy to me. That's like, wow, that's like amazing. That's extraordinary. That's untold. It's unemphasized that it's told, but it's not enough emphasis placed on it. It's like, man, men don't understand how significant that was. God, you waiting on me to give you an answer? You ain't waiting on me. I ain't out my mind to answer yes. Of course, yes. Yeah, I got you, whatever it is. Prayer is about being specific. Yes, tell it, sis, tell it. I'm the only reason why I'm saying it is because so many people have come to me and they were surprised. They came to me but when they were single, then they got engaged and then married. And it's like, what do we do now? What do we do about sex now? It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. And you did not see Joseph turning away. Okay. He had the choice. He had the chance. He had the free will. God waited for Mary's free will. Of course, he wait for Joseph's free will too. Matter of fact, Jonah is in the belly of a whale because God respected his free will when he said, no, I ain't telling these people nothing. They gonna kill me if I tell them this. God was like, all right. Wait it out in the belly of the whale. But I'm just saying, he waited. It's just how you waited. But okay, hey, auntie, she says Proverbs 3:6, and all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Yeah, but he still give you free will. You go and you say, okay, God, I know that you only want me to do this one particular thing in this one particular way, but I want to experience life the way I want to experience it. Don't throw the book out on those people. Don't throw love away on those people. God got a way of bringing those people home. Your love or hate ain't going to do nothing but alter your experience, not theirs. So when people say they're going to experience life the way they want to experience it, if God gave them the free will to do that, and he's respecting them and giving them life in order to do that, and breath in order to do that, who are you to take it away? Let them experience life the way they're going to experience it, and watch God. God has a way of moving and doing things that if we keep on trying as people to manipulate these things, we'll never see God's hand. We'll never see God's work. So when people hinder me or try to do things to hurt me or harm me, I just say, okay, all right, it is what it is. I'm not going to stress over it anymore. I'm just going to tell God about it. God's will be done. Whatever happens, and I don't wish you any ill will. But whatever happens, that's between you and God. If we lean on our own understanding, God can still lead you back. Yes. It's not to say that you're going to stay in the wayward path. It's to say that everybody, what is the purpose in saying God turns everything for the good? Man was the one said things are bad. Man was the one gave titles to everything. Matter of fact, when Adam told Eve, look, this is how I need your help. This is what I want you to do in order for us to accomplish the goal God has, for man and woman. That's when the devil stepped in. Did you notice that? Did you pick that up? Did you see what he did there? That was clever. That was adroit, okay? That was skillful and witty and all of that. And he was like, man, they didn't even see that coming. They didn't even see it coming. I'm like, look, I have a whole thing going on. When I read something, I kind of get stuck into this picture. And I'm like, ooh, and it goes somewhere else. I'm like, I see you. And I'll be reading the Bible, cracking up. But anyway, that's just me. A lot of people say they read it, can't understand it. I just read it and then I think about it. I'm like, that's tripped out. I'm telling God, but you may clap back. I know. Tell him. She's like, she need a little bit more Jesus. I do. I need a little bit more Jesus. A whole lot, actually. Because I'm just flesh. I be messing up. But anyway, I'm going to get it right. I'm pretty sure I get it right. I have faith. But anyway, Mary went to a place where she could get it right. She went not where she was accepted, but where God was accepted and the way God wanted to use her and her whole person. See, we always finding ourselves, not everybody, but from what my experience is, everybody I know always always finds themselves in a situation where they did not control the circumstance that they found themselves in. And we seemingly gravitate more so to those situations, and there's undesirable outcomes in those situations than when we pull back and pull away from that, because that is not the desired outcome that we had for ourselves. And that creates a cognitive dissonance. Like, I know better, but I'm not doing better. What does the Bible say? That I should, I don't do, but I don't know. That's why I don't quote the Bible. But what it means is, I know better, but I don't do better. I see what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not doing that because it's hard. Jonah in the belly of the whale. Because, the snake said it, and Adam didn't exactly disagree while he was saying it. So we do this. Mary, she had a different outcome because she saw Elizabeth's outcome, and she knew, wait, this is how God wants it. And when God wants it, it's going to be well done. And she was like, yep, I'm going to leave and continue to sojourn so that we can manifest this thing and I can be the help me in this manner. What you say, Jackie? That's the lesson. When we fall out of the will of God, God still doesn't throw you to the wolves. He certainly doesn't. He gives us the opportunity to learn about what we did wrong so we can repent and get back to him. And it's like, if you constantly throwing something at somebody, you throwing the Bible at them, throwing the Quran at them, threatening to take your love away from them, giving them conditional love and ultimatums, and it's like they're bucking just because of you. You the problem. Or maybe, I don't know, but I'm saying it's possible that you just need to let God do what God gonna do if you believe in God. That's why sometimes I don't really believe that a lot of people that say they believe in God really believe in God, because he don't need you to do his job. You do your job. You love unconditionally, regardless of what it is that person did or does, whether they sat there, harmed you, or they had some sort of addiction where they stole from you, or they hated on you for whatever reason, where you had something and they hated or coveted it. You don't hate back. You let God fix it, and you keep moving forward, because you block your blessing if you keep trying to fit in, if you keep on trying to hurt other people because they hurt you. That's not how this works. And that's what I've seen throughout these historical studies. Now, you may not think these spiritual books are historical, but go find a different history book that can show you, like the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or whatever these spiritual books are saying about these experiences. And then you can track that it's some similarities across the board, regardless of culture, title, or normatives that divide. What you say, Auntie? What if God called them in the middle of them doing what they want to do? They not going to heaven. We don't want to encourage anybody to do what they want to do, but to seek God so they can be saved. Time is short. We in the end times, and like in Noah day, many are going to be lost. You have really valid points. And I don't think that anybody, loving somebody unconditionally doesn't mean that you love their sins. God loved Jesus. He never stopped loving him, but he could not look upon him when he took on the sins. It's like he was cloaked and he just couldn't see him, like he was buried under dirt, and he couldn't identify, this doesn't even look like my baby. That's not my baby. But God didn't stop loving him, and God accepted him when he called him. Okay, so We ain't God though. So we just let God do God's job, because God said it ain't gonna be but one. No matter what the devil say, no matter what nobody say, God give us free will, and he ain't gonna take that from us. But at the same time, we have to respect one another's free will. If God loves us enough to give it to us and not take it away from us, we as people have to not consider us accepting other people's free will as permission for them to do harm or do us wrong, or, keep doing wayward things that they may lose out. But we don't know, if they're going to lose out. It's just our response to them. And we can't let our response to them be the determinant that puts us in a situation where we lose out. And, and it's sitting there like, oh, they done made it in. And you look it up from hell like, man, I wish I wouldn't have let my feelings get in the way. My emotions get in the way. Thank you. Thank you for disagreeing. Push back. Let me know. Elaborate on what you're saying. I'm going to hit you up. Say what you're saying. I got time. I got about 10 more minutes. Tell me what you're saying. Okay. So anyway, it's like why we move in a different environment. That's why a lot of different religions were made, because we do disagree on different aspects and different topics and different paths and different ways and how you're supposed to move and how you're supposed to present yourself. But God said free will, and he didn't take it away from you. That means he saw it was good. And he said in his word, he turns everything for the good. So even if you were wayward, even if you did have a situation where it was like, oh, it's impossible, God stepped in. God needs those impossible times where you're not leaning on man and saying, well, man did this for me. Well, man, they looked out for me. Well, man did this. They favored me because I was in their favor. I did things they wanted me to do. So they acknowledged me in this way. That's not God. And it's never been written. It's in no book ever where man gave favor above what God can do. So we do not lean to our own understanding of how God is working miracles, because oftentimes, for example, we'll see an impossibility. That impossibility is often man-made. Well, man's not going to let me get away with this. It's so unorthodox. Man's not going to let me do that because it's not what women are supposed to do. Man is not going to get up here. That impossibility God allowed, because he allowed man's free will to make that bridge, make that blockage, make the dam that's holding back all that water and all that, just so God can step in and move that impossibility. God created mountains. Why? So he can tell you that I said, move the mountains, speak, and the mountain will be moved. Oh, don't build no mountains. Don't build no mountains, y'all. Because if you build a mountain, I'm going to disagree that mountain can't be moved, because it's actual land. Land don't have no feet to move. But if God come in and say, all right, it's good, y'all see. It's good that you disagree. Now watch me work. And then God put feet on that mountain, and that mountain get up and like it's a skirt and pull the skirt up and walk and relocate. God can't do that if it was never the possibility, if the foundation wasn't laid for it to be impossible, for it to be a miracle, for it to be a phenomenon, to even be created. So everything works for the good. So we'll always have current examples that God does exist, and God does care, and God did certain things for a purpose, whether we like it, agree with it, disagree with it or not. Facts are stubborn. Facts are unchanging. It is what it is. And believers believe, and God loves every soul. So all this talk about, chasing wayward souls and those who don't believe, well, at least from what I can understand from studying diverse faiths, that believing in, the I am, but I'm learning that, a lot of the chasing and all the things that we are talking about, drawing in wayward souls or the people who don't believe in God, it's a lot of emphasis placed on the people who don't believe. but it's still there about people who do believe, though we're more so living the experience of those who do not believe, because it's more of them than there aren't, because we're outside the Garden of Eden. Let's just face it. If we was in the Garden of Eden, it'd be the other way around. And the book would probably read different, because the emphasis will be placed on the various aspect of the population, of the masses, as opposed to the emphasis being placed on the masses outside the Garden of Eden. What do I mean? We're outside the Garden of Eden, so we're emphasizing the aspects of the spiritual way to draw in non-believers, more so than we're emphasizing drawing in people who already believe. You already believe. It's nothing more you can be told but to stand strong, soldier. I'm just saying. So because people need help believing, Jesus and John were born to help with such an understanding. God didn't always ask people to have blind faith. Mental health is important, because what we believe we will affect our health, our wealth, our following generations, and our soul. The power of the mind is untold in its totality, and we don't understand it in the manner in which is being emphasized currently, because there wasn't enough emphasis placed on mental health and well-being, because people did not see that as being profitable. Who do I mean by people? People in the decision making and how money is generated and how wealth is generated. They didn't understand it in the manner in which they are understanding it since I've been out here broadcasting it on Adroit Living. Once I finished with my doctoral studies, I was like, look, I'm going to start swaying more over to coming more out into the open. And that's why now I'm back online, because I'm done. But anyway, the power of the mind is untold in its totality, because we have yet to fully understand the brain, any brain. We can't understand animals' brains or babies' brains as it continues to grow. And that's miraculous, because it's a tiny little thing and it just keeps growing. And it's like, we can't even fathom how that's possible. But anyway, we don't even fully understand the computer brain, and humans made it. Now, why is that important? Because humans made a computer brain. They can't, and then people go around and tell you, oh, you have a job working with computers where you're online working. You don't have to know how to, you don't have to understand the computer. You don't have to understand the brain. You don't have to understand programming and how this thing works and TCPs. And you don't have to understand any of that. No, you don't have to. That's probably one of the reasons why we don't understand the human mind and behavior the way we should understand it. And because we're emphasizing things in a aspect where we're speaking to the masses, and the masses are not as well educated as they should be, and that was for a purpose too. Anyway, what you say, Jackie? We cannot make love conditional. When it's unconditional, I can still despise the sin, but to put conditions on love, there will surely be souls that are lost. Matthew 22, 34, 40. Just in case I want to look that up. Jackie right. A lot of times I've seen people, as a psychologist, I've seen them buck because they want to prove that they don't need your approval. They don't need your approval. They don't care if you approve. They'll do it just so you don't approve. They'll do it just to irritate you. You could throw the Quran, the Bible, God, everybody at them, and they'll say, I don't care. You could threaten to take your love away from them, or your finances, or whatever it is you have that you think they want. They'll change their motivation. And their motivation is unhindered because the positive and negative reinforcements. You think you understand that, but you don't. Because they'll change. Why? Free will. One thing. It seems like it's not a lot, but it is. And God knows how significant it is. And that's why he told you, don't lean on your own understanding. He got it. That's why he says, I am God and God alone, and there will be none before me or after me that can do what I do. I'm the only one. And every time, every generation, all the time, every moment, actually, he's showing you. We can ignore it if we want to, but that's creating a cognitive dissonance where we say, oh, I understand it, but I'm not going to lean on that. I'm not following that. There we go with the mental health concerns. So my objective is to inform you. Mental health is physical wealth. Now you can rewind this episode and watch it as many times as you want and go back and watch all the other episodes. I'm sure you'll get a thrill. Maybe not as much as this one. I'm sorry that Facebook user did not come back and say why you disagree. I was really looking forward to a little bit of the debate. I have a friend, elementary school friend. I'm going to try to get her on here so we can do a little, push back and push it forth, I'm trying to get on here. But it's Women's Month this month. So I have a focus. I have a goal. And once I'm done with that goal, we're going to head right into that. So keep waiting for me, sis. I'm coming. I have not forgotten. I'm a woman of my word. I got you. I love what she do. She always pushing back. But I consider that positive because mental health is important and we need to vent these things out and talk about it. And sometimes we're not gonna like what we hear, but again, facts are stubborn. I didn't make the facts. I'm just pointing them out. I appreciate everybody who came on, and I appreciate the viewers who watched the recordings. Remember, mental health is physical wealth.